Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, my name is Glen Chun, the host of Glen Chun, the YouTube channel which is named after me, Glen Chun, and I have been neglecting uploading videos recently. I know, I've been working on university, so sue me. Anyway, stuff has been happening in the gaming community, and because of that, I'm going to introduce this gameplay really fucking fast. Basically, I wanted to play Modern Warfare 3 again, see what it was like after Black Ops 2, after the life cycle of every good past Call of Duty game is really good after the new one compared to the new ones, so I wanted to play the Modern Warfare 3 and found out it was just still shit. Anyway, this game wasn't too bad. There you go, that's the gameplay. And now let's talk about some E3! Mainly, let's talk about Sony versus Microsoft head-to-head. And right now, let me tell you one thing. I'm going to sum this up real quick. If I was a Microsoft employee, I would be tapping the fuck out right now. I would be tapping out. I'd just lay down on the ground, just shoot myself, because basically what happened to E3 was Microsoft got its ass handed to it right on a silver platter. Goodbye Microsoft, death to the Xbox. It has not won, it has lost big time, real big time. However, there was some good stuff there. There was some stuff that was better from Microsoft this year, I will give you that. Particularly after the disastrous press conference that they had to, just reveal the Xbox. The the Xbox don't buy one, I've heard it mentioned before. After that, they improved things. The launches were better. The games looked okay. Reese, Fall of Rome, that looked pretty good. Or Rise, I'm not sure. Yeah, Rise, Son of Rome, I think it was called. That looked pretty nice. Forza Motorsport 5, well that looks just epic. I knew it would do though, because it's Forza Motorsport. I mean, that game could be made on a bloody Nintendo Entertainment System and it'd still be epic. Which, I've got news on Forza Motorsport. It's going to have open wheel race cars. Hallelujah! Maybe Formula 1 cars in Forza Motorsport. And I've been wanting that for ages, and it's going to happen on the Xbox One. Why? Oh god, that irritates the crap out of me, because I don't know if I'm actually going to bother buying the Xbox One, because here's the thing with me. Okay, right, I'm going to explain that in a bit. But here's the thing, right? Microsoft just died. Sony's press conference, actually, at E3, compared to Microsoft's, was a load of shit. It really, really was bad. And I mean really, really, really terrible. Worse, I think, than the release for Microsoft. But here's the thing. Microsoft has so many shit policies, and they have fucked up so much that Sony just didn't need to pull out all the stops. All it needed to do was show you what it looked like and talk about their online policies, and hey, they would have won if they were different to Xbox's. So guess what happened? Microsoft unleashed a load of pretty good looking games, and that's what happened. A load of pretty good looking games came out for the Xbox, and everybody was thinking, meh, okay, it's a bit better standing now than it was before. But along came Sony, and Sony talked about TV. The thing we hated about the Xbox. It's like, well, are you on about games or are you on about TV? What's going on here? So they talked about TV, pay-per-view events, music, tailoring it for games. Yeah, right, my ass. It's just so you can have some music there. Cheeky use of the YouTube. And, yeah, I was just like, no, please, no, don't do this. No, this is a big mistake, no. It took them a long time. It took them a very long time, actually, to get onto games. And once they did, I wasn't very impressed. I'm going to be honest, I just wasn't impressed with it. I was like, dude, is that all you're going to do to show off your games? Now, I know they've already done some stuff with their release back in February, and it was pretty good. But come on, this was weak. They did not show their games off very well. It was the same guy talking about each of them. There wasn't a whole load of passion there. They showed off Watch Dogs. What was it called? That amazing new thing, Destiny from Bungie. They showed that one off. God, they showed off other stuff as well, like, but I think most of the games that I remember from the press conferences are coming from the EA and Ubisoft ones, rather than the Sony. I mean, I remember more games from the Microsoft launch than the Sony launch, which is a bit annoying for me. Oh yeah, they shown off Final Fantasy. That was cool. Ultimately, the Sony conference, yeah, like I say, it was weak, but here's the thing. Sony won at E3. They won at E3 because of two things. First off, they showed the console, which it isn't a design phenomenon at all. It's basically just like a cube, like a... fuck, I've forgotten what they're called. Never mind. A cube, a rectangle slanted over a bit. I can't remember what they're called. Oblong, maybe? Anyway, it was basically that, but it's got a few more little styling points, but the one thing that got my attention was when he was holding it in his hand, that thing looked small. I'm going to be honest, that thing looked small, it looked quite sleek, and it looked unopposing. It just looked like it would melt into the background a bit, like you wouldn't really notice it. And it's smaller right now than my PlayStation 3 Slim that's lying on my floor. It looked physically smaller in his hands. I like that. I was not expecting that. I thought it would be big. I thought it would be really big. You know, like PlayStation 3 size. This beast, I was expecting it to be big. But no, it's not. It's small. Really small. Now, the first thing that made me think about was, hang on a minute. This thing is running some pretty powerful software here. This thing might overheat, might yellow light of death a lot. I've got to admit that worry went right through my head immediately. I was just like, is this a good thing or not? Ultimately, that could be the case. That says maybe, as you would say. But you know what? I like it. I like it a lot more than the Xbox. I mean, the Xbox is just terrible. It is. It's just a box. It's just a big, ugly, black box that looked like it came from the 90s. You know, it doesn't look like next gen. It looks just boring. Boring. Boring as the name. The One. Woohoo! That's an amazing name. What, is this the first Xbox or not? Anyway, I'm going to have to select some extra gameplay on here. I'm running out of time. Didn't think I'd have enough time in this. I didn't have any long gameplays. But, yeah, no, the One is just boring, dull. Forget it. It's appalling to look at. The PS4, better. But here's the thing. There's been a backlash against Xbox and Microsoft for their policies, for the... You know, the publishers are going to get to decide whether or not you can sell your game off or not. And you're probably going to have to pay a fee. You can only share your games with one person, and if they've been on your friends list for 30 days. You know, it's restriction after restriction after restriction. The Kinect is always on, so it can listen to your voice commands. It can spy on you. I saw a screenshot from E3. It might be faked, but it might not be, and I'm going to tell it to you anyway. It was a disclaimer, you know, the privacy use of terms of use, you know, these things where you have to say I agree or not. Well, with the Xbox it says you cannot expect any level of privacy whilst using this machine. Anybody can see what you're doing. I'm just like, wow, really? You're actually gonna say that? And now it's a picture taken from E3, and I'm just thinking to myself, damn, you messed this thing up. You, as Angry Joe put it, you done fucked up. And then, yeah, so the Kinect is always on. Then there's a thing that, the really restrictive DRM. Now, DRM's not always a bad thing. Most games that have DRM, you don't even notice the DRM. It's not really a big thing. But Microsoft is bringing in this sort of restrictive DRM, which is just bad. No, don't want that. And they're also doing this whole, you know, you gotta connect once every 24 days. Now, this is the big thing. You gotta connect once every day. Every 24 hours, you have to have signed in and checked in online. You have to. And that just sucks. I mean, and I'm thinking, this is the thing that really makes me not want this console as well, by the way. It's the fact that, what if I just don't turn my console on for one day? What if because I mean I'm not in the mood to turn my Xbox on every day. I play other things. I play PC, I play PlayStation, you know, and I'm going to be playing PlayStation for the next gen. The thing is, there's just so much time in a day. I'm not going to constantly, I mean, I'm going to forget. What am I supposed to do? Every day get into the routine of turning on my console just so it will work? No. I mean, what if you just don't turn your console on? That's it. Oh, fuck. Well, you're fucked now, mate. It doesn't work anymore. I mean, I don't like that. I don't like that. That is an unnecessary restriction, and it's bullshit. Here's the thing, right? If you do not, they say, if you do not sign in once a day, then you're only allowed to play your console 1 hour, for 1 hour offline. That's it. Why would I want that? What part of Microsoft's business plan makes them think, yes, this will make us a lot of money, telling people that their console will effectively break itself if they don't sign in? Brilliant. Well done. Everybody, round of applause for Microsoft. Professional fuck up. Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah. And plus, the console's going to cost for $399, £425, and €399. Okay, I'm not really sure what I was expecting there, but whatever. I might have got this prices wrong actually, but that might have been. I think I did get this prices wrong actually. I think it doesn't matter anyway. It is what it is. It's a lot of money. You know, it is quite high priced, this Xbox. So basically, you're paying a lot of money for something which is probably going to break itself. Now, at the PlayStation conference, the guy came on stage and goes, now let's talk about our policies for a little moment here. Xbox didn't do this. They just sort of, here's some good games. This is why. They just sort of panicked and shut off a lot of good games. So you had a McLaren supercar rising out of the ground for Forza Motorsport. You know, it's pretty cool. And then Microsoft and Sony just came on stage. Let's talk about our online policies. Okay. We support the used game market. Everybody goes, yes! Oh, we can see where this is going. This is just a big death nail in Microsoft's. This is just the final nail in Microsoft's coffin, just hammered in there. So then, you know, no, we support the online market. It won't be supplied for. Easy for me to say. It won't be supplied with a camera that spies on you the whole time. Yes, hallelujah. it's I don't know why I did that. It also doesn't require you to be online. You know, it won't have restrictive DRM. It won't stop working if you don't sign in once every day. Hallelujah. And now here's the thing that I wasn't expecting. You see, all these 4 bits I was expecting. All of that I was expecting, you know. I saw that coming. I did. I really did. I was thinking, you know what? Sony's just probably sitting back in their headquarters just grinning at Microsoft being idiots. Because they're not going to do any of that, and they're going to win by default just by being smart. That's what I thought. And so none of that surprised me. And of course he said that all with a big grin on his face. He's just like, he couldn't not smile as he was saying. He's just like, oh yeah, this is what it for us. But the reason why he was smiling, he had one last thing up his sleeve. One last thing in Sony's arsenal, just to pull it out the bag and completely screw Microsoft over. The price. Now, I really did not see this one coming. I believe it's $399, just under $400 in America, €400 in Europe. But in England, it's £349, nearly a full 80 quid cheaper than the Xbox. So you're paying 80 quid less for something which is going to do everything a whole lot better. And I was just like, damn, I did not see that one coming. I was just like, dude, it's awesome. I was just like, wow, that is... I mean, to put that into perspective, that's about 130 quid cheaper than the PS3 was when it first came out here. And I was just like, oh my god, Sony's won. You know, their press conference didn't need to be good when they're unveiling stuff like that. When they're showing you what the console looks like and it looks better than the Xbox, and when they basically reveal all of that stuff and just basically just laugh in Xbox faces, I'm just like, yeah, this is the console that's winning. There are other things too that I've picked up on with the PlayStation versus Xbox thing, which wasn't at E3, but it's something I noticed, and I haven't been able to do a video because I've been having other things been taking over. But the one thing I noticed is that it's it's a small thing, but when you look at the back of the Xbox controller, it has like a unique input slot for microphones. It hasn't got a 3.5mm jack, which is what the current controllers have, you know, where you put your microphone in. It doesn't have that. It has something unique. And I was just like, why would they do that? And of course the answer is this. They're controlling they're controlling every element of the Xbox, closely, tightly regulating it. Now the thing that I noticed with the PlayStation on the back of that, it has that 3.5mm jack, like the current controller on the Xbox has. Now what that tells me is these two companies are completely different now, that their philosophies are different completely for this generation. Microsoft wants to totally control the market. They want complete monopoly, and they want total, utter control over this monopoly. They want to dictate what everybody else in the gaming industry does by... And I think they got a bit arrogant after the success of the 360. In all honesty, I think the policies are just bred out of arrogance and complacency. That's where I think these policies have come from. But they think that they can realistically control the whole market, and that's patently obvious to anybody. What they're trying to do is they're trying to basically shut down all third-party companies, and they're just saying, you know what, come to us. This is where you should be. You know, we want to deal with everybody direct. We want to charge people. We're going to get as much money as we can. And we're going to ultimately tell you what you do. What are Microsoft saying to you? They are basically telling you, one of the words that they've used is that you don't own the game. You are just paying a lot of money for the right to play it. You're borrowing it off Microsoft is what they're effectively saying. Now here's the thing with this constant online checking in thing. What if Microsoft's servers go down? Well... I mean, what if that happens? What if, let's just say, somebody hacks into Microsoft servers the same way they hacked into PlayStation servers a while back? What if that happens? Well, then everybody who owns an Xbox are completely screwed. And I think what you will see is a lot of sensible people will buy the PlayStation 4. They won't get the Xbox One. You'll probably still see YouTubers buying both consoles, I imagine, because there'll be cool exclusives on the Xbox One, which, whilst the console works, are good games. You've got this Titanfall game which I saw, which looked pretty cool. You got Forza Motorsport. You've got this Reese Son of Rome, or Rise Son of Rome. It looks they've got some good games there. There's no doubt about that. Hideo Kojima was on their stage as well. That's something else which caught my eye. Hideo Kojima was on the Microsoft stage. So there's no doubt in my mind Microsoft has some good games whilst the console works. It will probably be, so long as it works, a good console for gaming. It probably will be. But they've bolted on all these extra restrictions, and the thing is the PS4 will be just as good a gaming console, and thanks to that fact, they're going to win, because they haven't bolted on. And that's just where the Sony mindset differs from Microsoft. Last year, I think they tried to do what Microsoft is doing this year. Not this extreme, but they tried to control that PlayStation a bit more. For instance, just one example, if you try to use the Elgato Game Capture HD, you cannot record through the HDMI cable on the PlayStation, but you can on the Xbox. So I think what PlayStation has done is they've learnt their lessons from last year after they lost. I mean, they did lose. Any PlayStation fan will have to admit that PlayStation just was beaten by the Xbox 360. It just was. But this year, I think they've learnt their lesson. They've opened up the console, and what they've gone and done is they have created. What they have done is they have beaten Xbox. This isn't going to be a console war. This is going to be a console annihilation this year, because Microsoft has brought out a load of policies trying to control the market, and it's not popular with gamers. And I think that most of the gamers who aren't just kids will see that, and I think a lot of kids will be like, I don't care, I just want my Xbox, and then they're going to pay the price when that thing just shuts itself off because they forgot to turn it on for a day. But the PlayStation 4, they've opened their console up. They went out to developers and said, hey, what would you like from a console? And they've tailored their console around developers so that developers can develop easily and cheaply for their console. They've opened it up. They've basically just gone and created a console. What Microsoft have done is create a set of rules for developers to build in. You know, here is a fence, this is what you're building in, do that. What PlayStation have done is they've gone and given the developers free roam. They've given developers free roam, and what they've done is they've given developers a hammer, a chisel, some nails. You know, they've given developers the tools to create the visions that they want. And I think you're going to see this happen. I think you're going to see quite a few games that are exclusive to Xbox shift to PlayStation because those exclusives are going to lose a shitload of sales. They're just not going to sell as well this year, and I think Microsoft is going to have to pay them a lot of money to stay exclusive to Xbox. That's what I genuinely believe, because I think that the PlayStation is going to get these developers. They're going to get these products in, and it's going to be a much better it's going to be a much better user environment. Will Microsoft survive? Of course, the Xbox is going to survive this. It might come back and win the next generation, but this current generation approaching us now, PlayStation 4 is the place to be. It's more open. PlayStation, I think, are basically just embracing it. They are trying to create a console that people want to use, and I think they have had gamers more in mind than Microsoft have. I think Microsoft have basically had money in mind, and creating this all-in-one system. Now, of course, I can't really say this is an advantage that PlayStation has, but when Microsoft came out and said, this is Xbox all-in-one, I think that's why they've called it the Xbox One, as in, this is the only device you need, you know, Xbox all-in-one device. I think that's what they've called it, they called it. Might be the first person on YouTube to say that, by the way. If so, yay me. But I think that when you market your device as an all-in-one device, as the only device you're ever going to need in your living room, it should be backwards compatible. That would just seem obvious to me. You know, why would you create an all-in-one console, but you still need your Xbox 360 if you want to play some old-school Halo? You still need your Xbox 360 if you want to play the old Forza games, which people do once in a while. People want a nostalgia trip every so often. I'm going to be doing the same thing soon. I've got a problem with my laptop at the moment, but once I get it fixed, I'm going to be doing a live stream commentary on Metal Gear Solid. I tried to start it once before, but the sound was horrible, so I'm not continuing until I got the sound sorted. And that's mainly a nostalgia thing. People want a nostalgia trip, and you know, if you have to have all your old consoles out there in the living room, that defeats the purpose of it being all in one. And what I think in general is that Microsoft have completely ballsed everything up, and Sony have basically stood back and watched Microsoft win the war for them. That's what I think has happened. Other stuff that I've seen from E3, another thing from the Sony launch, we saw a trailer for Batman, or I should say it like this, Batman Arkham Origins. And the thing with Arkham Origins is this. In the trailer, we saw the Joker. Yeah, the Joker was in the Arkham Origins trailer. Welcome, Bats! I am back. You know, well, that was shit. I really should have prepared that a bit more. But, no, the Joker in the Arkham Origins. It's like, what? The Joker? Oh, really? Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. What? He's dead! He was dead! He was a dead man at the end of Arkham City, and yet the Joker is here! I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out, what the storylines, how... I mean, that blew me away. I was just like, huh? What? And, no, so that caught my eye. I thought that was pretty cool. Ubisoft and EA conferences now. EA's was better than I thought it would be, in all honesty. Need for Speed, nah, not too keen on that. The three things I did notice, though, from the EA conference, the sports games look like they're going to be much improved. The sports games look pretty cool, and I like the fact that they had the Bruce Buffer. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. You know, I'm glad they had Bruce Buffer out there to introduce the UFC game, which looked pretty cool. I thought that's cool. That looks like a good game. But obviously the big ones of EA this year were Battlefield 4. They talked about Battlefield 4, and they shown off. I'm trying to say things right here. I've been going for 25 minutes. They shown off the building collapsing, and I was just like, oh my god. A whole skyscraper just collapsed. I hope that is possible in the actual game. I've been seeing icons in the top right corner though that suggest they were running that on PC, not Xbox One. I think that might have just been for the Microsoft press conference, but it looked good, and it's got 64 player online. It's got commander mode. This looks like a proper Battlefield game in every way, and it looks better graphics, and it looks better and a whole hell of a lot more fun than Call of Duty. It really does. The other thing I noticed about it is that people seemed to die in less bullets than it felt like to me like they were dying in less bullets. So I was just like, okay, that's something that they've taken a bit more from COD. And it's running smoother, 60 frames per second. They announced, you know, Battlefield 4 looks pretty cool. I'll give them that. What's funny though on GameTrailers.com, if you watched it on Game Trailers and Spike, they had the head of EA there saying, talking about the 64 multiplayer online and whether or not it'll be able to handle that with the EA Origins servers, you know, doing what they do, particularly with Sins 5. Anybody will know exactly that. And the EA guy just went, I just pissed myself when he said this. He goes, every fan of EA knows that we do online connectivity. They know that we're great for online connectivity. I was just like, what? I was just like, what are you saying? No, you're not. But yeah, that made me laugh. And what was the other thing that they've shown from EA? What's the biggest thing for me? Battlefront 3. Oh, baby! Battlefront 3! I didn't even know they were making this. I didn't. Oh, I can't wait for that. I loved Star Wars Battlefront 2. I loved Star Wars Battlefront 1. They were both great games. Oh, I can't wait for that Battlefield 3. I hope to God they don't fuck it up, because that really excited me. I liked that. You know, they didn't really show off much. They just showed off that they were going to make it. And I thought, oh yes, thank you. That's what I want. I want that. I hope that's going to... They said it's going to be a little while until that's done, but please take your time and make sure you don't mess it up, because that looked... I really want that. I really want that. So, the other thing, Ubisoft press conference. My friend and my housemate in the next room to me, Leon, will say it was a big pile of crap. Not that he wasn't expecting it, because it didn't show Beyond Good and Evil 2. I think it wasn't expecting it, but nevertheless, they didn't show off Beyond Good and Evil 2, so my housemate was a bit disappointed. They did show off some pretty cool stuff, though. They had the guy from Alice in Chains come out, do some music to show off the guitar learning software, which was alright. They also shown off Assassin's Creed. Pretty expected, really. You expected to see that there, and it looks good. You know, Assassin's Creed is one of the big titles. They also shown off Watch Dogs a bit more, and that looks like a good idea for a game. That looks interesting. I'm looking forward to Watch Dogs. I think that'll be an interesting game, and it looks cool. It looks like it's got good graphics. It's cross-platform though. It's cross-generation. I think they said it was coming out for PlayStation 3 and 4, and I was like, okay, yeah, I see what you're doing there. That sounds interesting. And I've generally thought that'd be quite nice. Yeah, it looks like a good game, Watch Dogs. I'll give you that. The two things, though, that really stood out for me at the Ubisoft press conference, two things. I think it was called The Crew, which is like a racing game, like Midtown, what's it called? Midnight Town thingamajiggy, whatever. It's what Need for Speed should be in my mind, and isn't. nowadays. It's you can customize your cars like hell. The amount of customization that they're promising is epic. Please make that so that it's true, because that will be just pretty cool. If that is that much customization. But of course, the big headline that came out of the Ubisoft thing with the crew, you get the whole of America. Now obviously it's going to be scaled down a bit, otherwise you're going to be driving for hours if you want to drive from one side to the other side, but you get a whole America. Now this is pretty cool, because evidently what they saw there was they looked at Atari's Test Drive Unlimited and said, "Oh, I see your Hawaii. I see your whole of the Hawaiian Islands, and I raise you the whole of America as your playground. How about that?" Yeah, that looks really cool. I like that. They've also got The Division, and that looked pretty cool as well. In this game, they've shown off the New York, and that looked pretty good. And that looked like the first game I saw in that whole press conference. That looked like it really shown off the potential of the new consoles, you know. And the reason why it was different from the current generation is just the extra details. There's just more and more detail in that game than anything else I've ever seen. And I think The Division looked pretty cool. Basically, it's post-apocalyptic, and it looked cool. It looked like a cool game, and I'm looking forward to that. So Ubisoft, I think, did show some pretty good games. EA shown off some pretty good games, surprisingly, actually. Sony's press conference weak, but my god, the policies got us going. And so did the Batman Arkham Origins thing. Microsoft's game lineup looks pretty good, but everything else looks like Microsoft are dead. The ultimate thought I'm going to leave you with is that Sony, unless if something goes really badly wrong, PlayStation has won this generation of wars. Now, the slight spanner in the works for that would be Steambox. What's the Steambox going to be like if that comes out? And that one might be the only thing that threatens the PlayStation's dominance, because right now, the Xbox One is a dead console. That thing is not going to win. It's just failed. Of course, now I've well exceeded the original gameplay video that I put on this thing, so I'm not even sure what gameplay you're watching right now. But I'll assume it has more time to go. If it doesn't, and that'll be amazingly coincidental. But for now, I'll leave you watching whatever you're watching, and I will say thank you for watching this. Thank you for sticking with me for this whole half-hour commentary, summing up the press conferences. And why don't you let me know what you liked? What did you like the look of in the E3 press conferences? And I hope to see you on my next video. Close to finishing off uni, and then I'll be working on some Best Car TV, which I hope to bring some news to you about that at some point in the future. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time around.
Here's Cristiano Ronaldo. Here he is with the chip. Here's the shot.
Get hyper. Get hyper. Get hyper.